Welcome to the Celtic Craft Studio. I'm Terry, and today we are going to make Edith Ephemera. As promised, we're going to make these little, what do you call them, pads. We're going to make them so you can do them two ways, where you can turn them into pads or you can leave them plain, put them in your journal, hook them in your journal, and then have a place that you can open and journal if you want. So there are a couple of options with this, but we're going to show you how to make one of these out of your Edith scraps. All right, so let me put these aside, get my Edith pages. I'll keep my template because I'll need it for the measurements. All right, so here's I have a whole pile of Edith scraps to my left, and I pulled some pages that I thought would be perfect because it has several things on the page so that when you cut it into strips, it's going to include something. Not all pages are like that. For instance, here, let's see if I can find. Obviously, you're not going to want to cut this. You're going to need it to be 2.5. And if you do 2.5, I suppose you could cut off part of it and do that. This, you're obviously going to have to cut up and miss. So you might not want to do that. You might not want to cut this into strips. So I found pages that to me made sense cutting into strips. So let's get our chomper. I guess I should show you the template first. All right, this is my template. That's why I wrote on it. It says template. I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't look like you can on the camera, but here is the measurements. It's 9 inches by 2.5. All right, and then I folded at 3.5, 4, and 1.5. Now, you can make these any size you want, and you can fold them any way you want. But that's the size I have here. And you'll notice that some of mine are probably a different measurement. I think this is skinnier because I had a scrap left, and I thought, well, that would make a good pad tuck. So I just went with the size that it was, and I folded it the way I wanted it. So those are the measurements for my insert, but you might want to do whatever works for you. As you've learned on this channel, there are no hard and fast rules. Maybe one or two, but not many. Like, keep your fingers away from the blade. Don't reach under your blade. How much lots of people do that, and I go, oh! Be careful. Don't hurt yourself, please. Okay. We are going to, so we said 2.5. So I'm going to cut off a little bit of this, though. A little bit of edge going on, so let's cut that off. And then let's see what it looks like, 2.5. I mean, you might want to get a certain part of this flower. See, it looks like I might be cutting that flower off, and I don't want to. So let's go in just a little. And then we can go this way to make it 2.5. Make sense? Two and a half. Make sure you have it lined up. I love the grid on here so that you can make sure it's nice and straight. All right, so there's one. And then there's this one. I kind of want to, let's take off some of this as much as I can. Again, I don't want to. So let's take off this much on this side and then see what it looks like at 2.5. Oh yeah, I think that'll work. Oh, slowly, slowly, slowly. Sometimes these old papers kind of tear before they cut, so you need to go slow, and sometimes I have to do this little thing like that. So, you know your paper. You might have to baby it. All right, so we have these that I cut, and I have one other one that I cut here. So let's go ahead and get that one. And then you can do or not, because I can't find my... Okay, we're going to have to fold by hand. Cannot find my board that helps me crease. So, once again, we're going to do 3.5, 4, and 1.5. 9 inches. Just make sure you kind of, you're just going to eyeball it. Okay, here we're going to do 4. I'm going to move it up to make life easier. Can you see me? Am I in the shot? Okay, let's do 4 and 1.5. Right. And it's kind of nice to have the words because it makes it a little easier to fold. And if it's not precise, it's not the end of the world. What you basically want is you want the flap to go over this, and you want a little space here so that it folds with no problem. All right, so that's what you're looking for. Also, when you fold it, now it doesn't make a lot of difference. In fact, it turned out well this way. But you want to be careful how you fold it, especially if you've got some kind of graphic on it that you need to go a certain way. All right, so let's do these real quick. So we have these folded and ready to go. Like I say, you know, make lots of them. Don't just make one, make several. And then you'll have them when you're working on your next project. All right. We'll have to make an Edith journal, maybe. I did an Edith Tim Holtz journal. I don't know if you saw that one. Where's my line here? There's my line. I'm going to bring that up just a little. See, my words are going to be upside down, but that's okay. That's okay. And, you know, you can always, who says it has to be like that? Okay. So there's another one. Let's do the 2 that we cut. Except I want to do on the inside. I don't really want my pencil marks on the outside. And just a tip, because we are going to line these, and you do want to fold them before you line them. I find that easier. Some people would probably do it the other way, which is fine if that works for you. But for me, they just seem to work better when I folded them so that I had a crease. I knew where they were being folded. And then I glued them onto the backing paper. Oh yeah, I like the way that came together. Sometimes it's a happy surprise. Happy surprise, see? We've got the words and the flower. That worked out well. All right, last one. Last one. Let's make sure he's going the right way here. does make a difference. So think about it before you take the leap. All right, 4. Okay, so let's fold this last one. And up. Now this one didn't work out as well, but, and see this, it may make a difference. To me, this side makes sense. So if I put it in the journal, I'd put it this way. Now this side, to me, makes more sense than that. So I would probably put it in the journal this way. Does that make sense? Hopefully I don't sound like I make no sense at all. Hopefully you understand what I'm doing and where I'm going, even though I don't always know that. All right, so here's my template. Now this one I did not cut the edges, but you will notice that some of these edges are cut. Okay, these are rounded. That one's rounded. And this one has the corner. Now, I have a little dilemma because my rounder punch, my corner rounder, went missing. I have not been able to find it. I have looked everywhere. I just hope it didn't fall into the trash, which has happened before. So I'm using this corner. And there are 3 sizes. So you choose which size you want. This one, I don't want to take off too much because I want those words. So let's just take a little off. Okay. There is a larger one, however, and that to me looks nicer. This I used the larger one and I don't like it as much. So I'd say the middle one works for me. All right. So get them all folded. Get your things rounded, squared off, whichever way you want your flaps. And then you can think about how you're going to back this. All right, let's hang on. I'm going to put the ones I'm working on to the side over here. And get the ones I've already made. Now this one has straw paper on it, which is a good way to back it. This one has lines, a lined paper, so you can write on it that way, although you don't have to. And then this one, I used plain book page. So whatever you have, let me show you what I've done, because I've already backed some. So this one I had some leftover lined paper. This one I used, remember the blank Edith page that we had that we've used before? I used that on the back of this one, which works out well because the paper's the same color, so it looks very nice. And then these are straw paper. So let me go ahead. I'll cut out these. We'll save that for later. I don't know. Do you like watching the tedious stuff, or would you rather I didn't do the tedious stuff on camera? I'm sure I'll get both camps. Can't make everybody happy all the time. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do and not worry about making everybody happy. I think you learn that the older you get. All right, so this one has the straw paper, and this one's a nice Christmas one. In fact, I see a clip over here that'd be perfect with it, which I'm going to show you as well. We're going to show you the clips that go on the top. All right, and these were rounded, so I'll make sure we cut them. Have you ever done that? Have you lost things and you never could find them? I hope it didn't get thrown away, and I'll be looking around for something and find my corner rounder. But maybe not, and maybe I'll just have to get a new one. All right, so let's cut this one. I think this one I am going to use the little corner punch. Like I said, I like the medium one, so we'll use the medium-sized punch. I think small one's probably too small. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay. And last but not least, the lined paper. And apparently I have an extra piece of lined paper there. And now see, this is kind of like the one we cut out, but I cut it a little farther over, so it looks a little different, depending on where you cut your papers. All right, there are those. And then this one. Are you collecting Edith ephemera? I've had several of you comment that you have Edith books and you didn't quite know what to do, and hopefully this has given you some ideas. Because these Edith things are so perfect in botanical journals, and now that spring is here, they are perfect for the journals I'm sure you are working on. All right, let's do these corners again, the medium size. Woo! Throwing corners everywhere. All right, now we're going to, like I said, they're already creased because I already folded them. And I think that's easier when you've glued it on and it's dry. Make sure it's dry before you fold, because you can create creases if you don't. All right, so there's make sure he's creased down so it's even, and you might have to do some trimming. This one looks like it needs a little trimming off the edge. Okay, there's another one. Boy, we're going to have a lot of these. These are definitely going in journals, because there are several of them. And like I said, I'll show you an option in just a little bit, because I believe when I first used these, and I don't even remember using Edith paper. I think I used scrapbook paper to create these, and then just one day I thought, oh, you know, I could use up my Edith paper this way. All right. See, and this is the one I think I have the, make sure that's straight, because it looks like he might need some trimming too. Yeah, just a tad. Just a tad. All right. It's not the exact berry, but it's close. It's close. Close enough for, see? Perfect for a Christmas journal. All right, last but not least, then I will show you how to make the little clips. Oh, that one looks like he needs a little trim off of here. Okay. Do I have any that look good with these? I think that's kind of nice. Same colors. Same colors. All right. And then you can hook that in to your journal. I have some over here too that I used that I put butterflies on. So you can make them and then maybe put a butterfly on it. So let me show you how we did these. All right, and remember I did this the last time. I showed you that I used the words for the back. In some cases here I used scrapbooking paper, which you can do too. All right, so let's see what I've got here. Ooh, I like that one. Let's pick some that we like. Oh, this obviously is a popular one. Oh, and I've used this before. I've got one similar to that. Ooh, I like that. And I'll show you kind of, there's another one that's kind of similar. All right, so let's put these aside. Let's see, I've got some scrap over here. Let's see if there's anything that would be perfect for punching. Got to make sure it fits your punch. I don't think there's enough there. That's kind of nice. It goes with a bird. The bird is gone. I used the bird. Oh, that's nice. All right, let's get my punch. This is, I think it's 2. Yes, a 2-inch, and it has a scalped edge. You know, you can have a plain edge, that's fine. I thought the scalped edge would be interesting. So I got the scalped edge, and I want this big one in there, maybe with a make sure you got it centered so that you're getting what you want. I don't know. Can I get another one? Maybe. We'll see. Oh, yeah. I think so. I could do that. Okay. Now, before you throw that away, look on the other side. Oh, see? Aren't we glad we looked on the other side? Because there is a perfect little something for maybe a pocket. Maybe you could punch the egg out. So make sure you turn it over before you decide to throw it away, because there are pictures on the other side. Ooh, I like that. Let's do this one. Let's do that. Let's get this flower though. You see the flowers there? Let's get that flower. Punch that out. And here we've got another, I think these are strawberries. They look like strawberries. Maybe even wild strawberries. Okay, look on the back. Nothing there, so I think we can go ahead and... All right, that's too skinny, obviously. That's too skinny. This is too skinny. And I think we'll save the part of the bird one. But let's do this real quick. There's a pussy willow, which is like perfect. We'll do it that way. And that way. And oh, now see what I did there? I got the name of the plant, which is goat willow, and the plant. Excellent. We love it when a good plan comes together. All right, let's put this aside. We obviously are not going to do all of these, but we will do some of them. Let's, like I say, I like that. Out of the ones I just did, I like the one that has the name. Let's do that. All right, let's put those up with the others. And I like actually the smaller daffodil. All right, so let's do these 5. And what we're going to do, so we're going to get backs for the 5. Because you want the back first, and I'll show you why. So I've taken a word page, the index page that we all love so much now, and I've punched those out. Okay. I have one for everybody? Yeah, I do. Okay, so now you need 5 paper clips, and that one's kind of bent. Let's get a better one. Let's look in the paper clip box, see if we can find a mangled mess. Anybody come up with the answer why they end up like that? Apparently they move around a little too much or something. All right. Okay, so you decide what you want on the back, what you want showing. And then I always put the large sides to the back. And I always leave it sticking up a little. You don't have to do that, but that gives you the opportunity. See how that sticks up just a little bit? This one shows you better. I could put a dangle on there. You know, I could put a little jewel, a little something, something to make it even more interesting. So I leave just a little bit at the top. And then I take my glue. And you want to glue this well, especially around the paper clip. Okay, boy, I must have a clog or something because he doesn't want to come very easily today. Got a little cold. We had snow here in Denver. Of course, today it's going to be in the 70s and it's going to be all gone. But it was a winter wonderland for a couple days. So I probably I'm down in the basement, which is a little cooler than upstairs. So I'm thinking the glue got a little cold. All right. So once again, like I say, make sure you get that paper clip. I'm going to kind of leave that on its side because I don't want it to go down to the bottom again. All right, and I think I had this. Line up your little scallops. Now, if you're not doing the scallop, you don't have to do that. And you want to make sure your flower is going the right direction so that your paper clip is at the top. Okay. This one, the punch didn't do very well, so he needs a little clipping, I see. All right. All right, let's do another one. You want that, remember, you want the large side to the back, so you have plenty to clip on. Put your paper clip on there with a little bit at the top. And we are going to glue around the paper clip. Yeah, it's a two-hander. Should have warmed up my glue, I guess. You can get a blob and just kind of swish it around. Okay. Yeah. Try not to get your finger too gluey. All right. Put this on top. Once again, making sure your flower is going the right direction and that you are lined up with your scallops. You have a little time. Good thing, I mean, this dries fast, but you do have a little time to adjust. So don't worry if it didn't quite get lined up when you laid it down. Oops, other way. I like this way because there are more words. And I like the words. And so we got those. And these you can just use on your own. You don't even have to, I'm blobbing. You don't even have to put them on the ephemera we made. You can use them, you know, to clip a journal card in, clip an envelope in. So these are just great on their own. And I have been known to use them on their own. Okay. All right. Last two. You're probably going, isn't she done gluing yet? Maybe we'll glue these both at the same time. Got a piece of tape on that. All right. Last but not least. I'll start to move a little faster. My warm hands are probably. Okay. Make sure you get as close to the edge as you can. So you're getting it glued down well. As I do, I think this one needs to go a little closer to the edge. All right. Put my lid on. Excuse my reach. Love that violet. Violet is pretty. Sorry. Sorry, I backed up and I shouldn't have. All right. There's that one, and then the one with the word on it. So pleased. So pleased when that happens. All right. Now I'm just going to show you a couple of inked ones to show you. To me, this is one of those things you want to ink. Let's do the two that I did first because they're probably dry enough. Let me get the ink. Because to me, the ink really brings out the fact that it's scalloped. So, go around and ink it. See? Immediately, it kind of pops. All right, you know, when I look at, I have a monitor over here where I'm monitoring you. And when I look at it, I can't see that as well. So I don't know if you're seeing it as well. Here, let's do this one real quick because I think that would look good on this one. All right. I think this would look good on here. See, and when you ink it, to me, it just pops. It makes it stick out. so that you can actually see it and appreciate the fact that it's scalloped. All right, so there we have it. Let me show you the option to make it a pad. What I did is I took a pile of scrap pieces. I have lots of scrap paper. And I call it, it's in a box up there that says copyright free scrap paper. So that I know when I make a collage, if I'm going to scan it and use it for something else, that all the pieces are copyright free. Okay, so this is in my copyright free scratch paper bin, and I cut strips. I cut 4 of them, and they're 2 inches. I made them a little shorter, okay, and then you want to be able to fold them so they're a little less than 4 inches, so 8 inches total. But you want to make sure that you can get them in there and still shut this. So here's my fold, see? There's that fold, so that shuts, okay? And then I would take this to my sewing machine and I would run a neutral stitch right across here to make the pad, okay? And there you have a little pad to put in your journal. And then you can take your clip. Did I lose my clip for this? We'll just use a different one. Take your clip and clip it into your journal. There you have it. Or you can give it as a little gift even. That would be a great idea. So there we have our ephemera for this week. I'm not sure what actually I do. I think we're going to do some ephemera for our journal. Let me tell you what I asked. I said, so what journal do you want to see? And this is what they said. Now, here's the challenge. I am going to have to figure out how to get the camera higher. I did get it to go a little higher, but not much. So this will be a challenge. But I think we're going to make the ephemera separately before we go ahead and put it in here. And that way you'll be in camera, and then we'll just have to figure out the rest. But I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be fun. I bought this large journal cover from Rachel, and it came as a pack. She sent all kinds of goodies, all kinds of pages, papers, all kinds of things that I can use. And then I had some papers as well. So we're going to make some interesting things to go in our journal. So I think that will be our next video. It will be part of a journal making process, but it will be making the ephemera. So I think that is what we will do next. Like I said, start to gather your stuff if you want to play along. I have downloaded a lot of Rachel Roxy Creation on Etsy. Rachel pages that her husband, I think, helped design a lot of these. They are absolutely beautiful. I love the colors, love the designs. So I have downloaded a lot of those. These are papers. They will be pages, but I am also going to download on cardstock. That way they will be a little firmer for us to make ephemera, which I am looking forward to. So the next time we get together, we'll be making ephemera for our very, very, very large journal. And I'll tell you right now, this one is not going to be for sale. This is going to be my journal. You know, I've never kept one of my own journals, but this is special enough that I think I am going to put some of my treasured items, maybe ephemera that I want to keep, will probably go in here. So I'm looking forward to getting this done, and I hope you can play along as well. Several of you have mentioned that you have large book covers that you can use, so that's great. If you have any questions about the ephemera we created or the journal that we're going to be working on, please put them in the comments below. I'm doing my best to keep up with the comments. Here's my trick. I think I have at least 10 videos now that I've done. And I answer the questions as soon as they come in, but then every now and then somebody will watch a video, maybe the first video or the second video, and make a comment, and sometimes I miss it. So I will do my best to go back and check. But if you really need to know, try to get it into the current video, and I will answer your question. All right, that's me for now. So until the next time, let's get crafty.